Hey, I'm Nate of Mammoth Press, and today on the Multicade, board game aficionados and fellow podcast co-stars of the Bana Nana Podcast, Rick and Ethan join me to play some Spiderman, the arcade game. Oh. It has us as 4 players right now.
It does. Hawkeye is going to get his butt.
And I'm apparently Submariner right now. So, okay. So, button 1 is punch. Button 2 is jump.
That looks to be about it.
And then if you hit both of them together, you can do like your character specific move.
Oh, but does it take your health down?
It probably does.
Because in the X-Men arcade game, that's the way it works.
Does. By 10.
I guess we'll just wait until Hawkeye gets his ass kicked.
Carry Hawkeye's ass. Bottom.
So you have a jump attack as well,
Yup.
and we can hit each other.
So friendly fire is on.
Yeah.
As seen from us beating the shit out of Hawkeye.
Now I'm Hawkeye. Oh wait, no, never mind. I'm
My
not.
Peter Tingle!
You're Peter Tingle!
I knew it!
So released in '91, they kept a very classic comic book art style to the game.
When you throw, pay attention to what level you're on, because you're hurting us too.
It's fine, we can afford it.
Oh god, Venom.
Yeah, screw Venom. Maybe Black Cat's scared of Venom, but I got that Peter Tingle on
Oh yeah, it'll just let you select characters if you die.
So yeah, I stand corrected. You can select each, and maybe, and I'm pretty sure that the research I was doing on this game showed that it was a 3-player game originally, but they brought in a 4th at some point. Maybe sometimes they do that, and that's when they changed it to where you can.
Oh, that's some...
They added a character and also made it to where you can select which one you want. Or my source could have been wrong entirely.
Get out of the way with it.
Oh,
Super Venom.
super Venom. Has to. What do you think we were doing?
I have a ranged attack now?
Yeah, I don't need those health. I'm still.
So now we got some platforming.
Sorry, Namor. You need to get there and get that other thing. Namor, the thing.
Oh, all of us have to get it?
No, we're waiting for you to get some help.
You have
Why?
like no health.
Yeah, but I have unlimited quarters. You don't understand how this works.
I still have a gamer's mentality. You're low on health. You need it. Don't steal the pizza box if you don't need it, Dick.
Also, something I'm noticing is
Arcades are the ultimate pay to win.
your health does tick down over time.
Oh yeah? What robbery is that? Oh look, I guess we're all gonna just stick to things.
Yeah.
None of us had to take off our shoes. Oh, you guys got ranged attacks too. Look at you.
Yeah. You think Hawkeye was the only one that did?
Get. Climb.
Ah.
Oh.
Having Battletoads flashbacks right now.
Sure, yeah, what are they?
Yeah.
Take that, Venom. Oh no, watch out for the helicopter. Oh, okay. So our story, where it started, is actually before the Bana Nana Podcast. It actually was, you hosted board game sessions at different places throughout town, like teaching people how to play, you know, adult board games. And by adult, I mean, you know, like, you know, just board games that required you to think and
not Monopoly
plan,
Junior,
right? Or you know, Scrabble and the like.
This is an Upwards house.
So for a while, you've been actually a huge board game. What is aficionado? Is that?
Yeah, it's actually his fault.
Yep.
Oh.
That is on me.
So, I think it was 2012. We went, me and a couple mutual friends went up to St. Louis to watch a Royal Rumble. Who won that one? I think Sheamus won it. Because Jericho was coming back regardless.
Yeah.
We kind of... Day and I rekindled a friendship, and then we all started playing Call of Duty together online. The next year, we all got together to buy the Royal Rumble, and we're like, why don't we get together and do things more often? The next week, or a week or two after that, we played Risk. And we had a good time being mean to each other, but the game itself sucks. It's long, takes forever, and the mechanics show their age, as I look back now in gaming. Ethan over here said, well, you know they make better games. And I said, no, what are these better games? So we went to our friendly local game store, Metagames.
Oh, yeah.
And this is before their really nice remodel that they have now. It still looked like the video store that they had taken over. Had the same old carpet, the red tile floor. So we got there, and we picked up Red Dragon Inn and a Munchkin Zombie. Played that a little bit. Red Dragon Inn liked that more than Munchkin. Munchkin just ends up getting up on the person. Picked up Ticket to Ride and some of the seminal favorites. One of our first probably 5 to 7 games that we really liked was Cutthroat Caverns.
Oh, yeah.
I asked one of the guys that was working there at the time, and I said, hey, we want a game that has really good confrontation that kind of gives us maybe a Risk style feel.
We want to work together, but we also hate each other.
Well, with the work together thing, he suggested Small World. So we did Small World, and it didn't scratch the itch. Because
suplex.
All the meanness, you have no control over somebody taking your stuff. You don't get to fight back. Cutthroat Caverns simulates a dungeon crawl. And the tagline is, if you don't work together, you'll never win. However, if you don't betray your friends, or if you don't work together, you won't survive. But if you don't betray your friends, you'll never win. It's kind of along those lines. It's made by Smirk and Dagger. So it's a dungeon crawl where it's just boss encounters. You have, is it 7 or 9?
I have 3 players. I think he chose 9.
It's like 7 or 9 boss characters you fight. Each one has their own abilities and their health points you have to hit. So you play out a hand of cards, and from those cards they have attacks of different values, and then they have action cards, sometimes to supplement your actions to make them stronger, sometimes to play them on your friends/opponents to either nullify their attacks, switch the order in which you guys attack the monster, or something like, or just flat out make them trip and hurt themselves.
Okay.
Yeah. Because all of you are doing damage to the monster, but only the person that lands the killing blow gets the points for him. Oh. And it's whoever has the most victory points at the end of the game wins.
So it's like World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Sure.
Each turn, everyone selects a card that they're going to play, puts it face down, and then you draw for initiative.
Right.
And then that's just the order of whose cards will resolve. And so you may have something that doesn't work unless you go first. Then you can use something that'll let you skip ahead.
So what you just went through and what you just explained, it wasn't the same game, but you had a table full of probably like over a dozen people.
Yeah.
You got really good at doing that and doing that often. Like you would plan gatherings where people would come together and you would play games with a lot of them who knew, and then teach, just like you explained here, other people how to play these games, kind of help bring awareness to these games that Ethan apparently brought awareness to you.
Yes. I went down the rabbit. Well, my family has a habit of, when we go into a hobby, we jump in full bore.
Yeah.
There's no half doing anything.
Oops, sorry.
You have really poor impulse control.
Poor impulse control can be part of it, sure. So, ended up at Metagames, there was a little game group. I joined that. I kind of halfway took some parts of it over, and we enjoyed having more people because the more people we have, the more games we get to play.
It's called a coup, Rick.
I might have kind of a little cooed it, but so one of the ideas was like there was some friends like that would come out to the game store and someone like, you know, my wife likes playing these games, but there's no way she's going to come to a game store. There's just that
stigma.
Yeah, there's that stigma that comes with it, which sucks, but it's there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a slow, like, turnaround, you know, for...
Metagames used to have a sign on their wall of rules you had to follow in the game room, one of those being that BO was a no-no.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
When you have to
that's the same with the con. Yeah. Like, come on.
When
you're a grown-ass adult.
When you have to advertise to your goers that, hey, you're supposed to shower and wear deodorant,
right?
Yeah. It can turn off some people.
Sure.
So, from there, we were brainstorming ideas of where to go play. And they were talking about coffee houses, but a lot of the coffee houses in the local area have tiny little tables that are not conducive to playing hardly any game, let alone even just like a deck of cards. But we have some bars in the area that have some pretty good sized table space. So we went to Pat and Alley Pub.
Right, that's where I met you.
Mm-hmm. In their back room, a little dark, so we couldn't play games where you needed to read cards. But party games work perfect. Party games and light games. So we started doing like the first Monday of the month, and it worked well for a while. We get people together, and you know, if a lot of people hate their Mondays anyway, so why don't you come play some games and blow off some steam and
eat some lasagna?
Eat some lasagna.
They don't have lasagna there, so thank you. But they had a nice beer list for those that partook in the libations, and for those that didn't, they also had some pretty decent food.
Yeah, it was good.
And their staff was always really accommodating too. If we needed a thing,
very nice.
They worked with. So we did that for a while we had people coming out.
Yeah.
At a certain point, we got diminishing returns where people didn't really care to come out on Mondays anymore. And I think it probably coincided with the weather at the time. So we were trying to find the...
I think you might have to go to the that and then jump.
There we go. Gotcha. So I think it might even coincide with some weather too, but we started trying to find other places to do it, and that kind of fell off. But that really helped bolster our ranks and got us a lot more people.
Yeah.
At that point, one of the group members, Jimmy Ledbetter, started us our meetup group on the Meetup app, which is a great way, if you're in a new area, to find people of like mind. So if you're going in there and you want to find people that like hiking, crochet group, if you have a certain religious proclivity, they usually have like Christian singles or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
On meetup groups. So we did one for board games, and it was great for people in the area. Now, I would say it's not the best to communicate with your people, but what it does do is allow you to get your face out there for people. Oh, okay.
They were fine. Oh, apparently I was holding up.
But it does keep you pretty visible for the people in the area, especially when they're new. I don't want to jump.
And then go down. There you go.
There you go. So new people to the area, generally when they find us through Meetup or Facebook.
Okay.
We've got a Facebook group that has well over 700 members. Our Meetup is close to 1,500.
And your group is called again?
The 417 Gamers.
417 Gamers.
417 area code. We have a group page for the Facebook. It's 417 Gamers, and then we have a 417 Gamer group. The group is better. Go ahead.
Like, is it focused like on mostly tabletop?
Yeah, tabletop and card gaming. We will have some people that pop in for video games, but Springfield Gamers was already taken by the video game chapter. So anytime those people pop in, hey, do you guys do much in video games? No, but here's where to go where that is.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's a pretty inviting crowd. What I like best about board games in general, number one is gameplay. I grew up a gameplay kid. My favorite games are like Castlevania 3, Super Metroid. It's games that have solid controls. Growing up, wrestling games kind of sucked until you got to like PS2 and 64.
Yeah. 64 was really what I think put it on the map for a lot of our generation was, like the 3D aspect of it. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, I had an entire wrestling episode with an actual wrestler And we played probably 10 of them on this arcade, and every one of them is wildly different than the next.
Oh, yeah.
Even though the mechanics are universally the same.
Well, and from the interviews I've heard from different people that have worked on wrestling games, it is extremely tough to work on a wrestling game.
It has to be.
But the Nintendo 64 games from WCW World Tour to Revenge to WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy being the best on that system. I kind of waffle back and forth between that and SmackDown Here Comes the Pain as being my favorite.
So do you feel like you kind of created a monster? Because you don't talk about games.
He won't accept responsibility for it, but yes.
You don't take it. You don't take the helm on in the podcast. Bana Nana, which actually has a pretty early origin, right?
It's 3 years old now, 3.5. So I met Swadley, I met you, I met Mike through the gaming group, Summer as well.
Yeah.
And we started talking about, and the group was talking about doing a board game podcast. And there's tons of board game podcasts.
Right.
There's tons of podcasts that do what we do too.
I was surprised that you chose the way you went, because I was like, aren't you all board game players?
I am, but I'm interested in comics. Every once in a while I'll pop in and I'll read a series and I really enjoy it, but I usually don't keep with it. I appreciate you kicking me in the face there.
Yeah, no problem.
That might have been
me. So when we started talking about something to do, Swarley wanted to do a thing. I wanted to do a thing. So did Mike. And I started talking to him. When they would talk comics, they were in two different generations. Mike is kind of Silver Age, and Swadley is 90s age. 80s too, but when he starts getting into Sandman and waxing poetic about Metropolitan and some of that stuff, he can go to town because he knows artists, he knows storylines, he knows tons of stuff. I don't.
Yeah, he goes deep in those rabbit holes, man.
What I can do is I can talk and ramble. And then I can, I'm, a big enough personality that I can cut through and, stop when I need to, or when I think it's needed to, and sometimes probably isn't. But, so, we started doing it, and we wanted to hook. So, originally, we have fond memories of the 66 Batman.
Sorry, man.
No, you're good. And we're like, what if we watched the 66 Batman, and that was the podcast? And
there was so much content.
A lot of 66 Batman. The first season's only 30 episodes, but the second season's 60. And if you do a podcast each week, that's already 90 if you don't get into the third season, and then the movie that you can cut into 3 parts if you want to make those episodes. So we enjoyed that, started doing that, me, Swale, and Mike, and I split it into the format that we have. We come in with the banter, we have a review of the show, we do a topic of the week, and then we do a WRPL because we have different tastes. Now, we do combine on some things where we come to an agreement. Hey, we both like a thing. There's a lot of times that me, Mike, and Swire you like that thing? I can't believe you like that thing.
Oh, I know, and that's where the fun begins. In fact, sometimes you deliberately pick something knowing that there's going to be discussion, and that's content.
Because, that is content. Hey, I know Mike likes a thing. I know Swirly does not like a thing.
Yeah. So you chose the Bana Nana, as in Bana Nana Batman.
Yep. Which
banana
has its pluses and minuses. It's unique, but it might be too unique and slightly quite a bit dumb.
It's like every band I've been in, except for one, which was way too dumb.
So we did a thing.
Explaining it.
Ben Ennis, also from the game group, he is the one that does the guitar intro for our podcast.
Right.
He has his own podcast, which is a board game podcast. It's the Not Safe for Worker Placement podcast. Him and his wife do that one. But, so, did that for, I want to say a year and a half. And then Swiley was getting his rear end kicked at work. Yeah. And I think he was getting burned out watching 66 Batman.
Yeah, well, at some point you start to
and he wanted to take a break. And I if you're not having fun,
right,
have fun. So he stepped away, and if he ever wants to come back and do an episode, he's more than welcome to. We still love Swadley to death, and Summer still occasionally says she's channeling her inner Swadley whenever we're reviewing a topic.
Well,
and Summer was heard in the background many times, and I had a couple people say, "Hey, we hear a person in the background. Can you just give him a mic?" Ethan said that.
Yeah.
And then Steve, that listens to the podcast, he would say that occasionally too. He's like, "She's gonna say a thing, just give her a mic."
Yeah.
So we put her as the fourth chair, and then Swaddly left, and she just became the third chair. And then Mike got a new position where he works, and they were working on their house. So with all the stuff they had going on,
we finally got him.
With all the stuff they had going on, we kind of scaled back, and we're going to do every other weekend, but I still want to do every week as far as content we put out. Mm-hmm. I know you were wanting to do more with the show.
Right. I had been a guest on the show maybe 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know, by that point, it evolved really quickly, and you had like a format that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So. The format's fun. I think I need to tighten some things up. And I need to get better at editing. I need to probably just watch some online tutorials more than the one, 30-minute Audacity tutorial I had, because I saw there's a series that's like 7 of them. They're an hour a piece. I'm like, that does not look like fun at all. But it's
I really don't feel like your editing is lacking. It's actually pretty impressive how you kind of balance,
Well, I try and cut what I can and make it sound natural, and if it doesn't, then I undo.
How did the the idea of splitting it in half and then dividing it up into 2 teams, like
my original idea was like blue and gold X-Men. So I was gonna make one team the gold team, one team the blue team, but it's like, you know what? Instead of me just making up the colors, let me start off by giving them some agency. You make your own colors. So you guys picked orange.
Yeah.
And they picked red. I'm like, those colors are similar, but still their choice. And then I gave you guys the agency of what we were going to review for our show, and that was a mistake.
Well, it wasn't. It was entertaining. And I think that's exactly what you...
We have some 0 episodes. That is the absolute definition of not entertaining.
So they stuck with the Batman. Batman Beyond?
Yeah, they're still doing Batman Beyond, and we've enjoyed the heck out of Batman Beyond.
Right.
I did not watch the run, so all these episodes are new. They brought back, Kevin Conroy as Old Man Bruce Wayne does an excellent job.
Right.
William, was it Friedle or Friedel?
Will
Friedle. He was on Boy Meets World. He is the voice of Terry, your Batman character. So and then tons of people cameo in there, like Major Hate is Henry Rollins. There's a lot of voices that pop in. You're like, oh, I know that voice.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool watch. And there's a couple bad episodes, but by and large they're at least to sweet. So which is not what we got from Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
So what was there was breaking brand, or at least changing it up. We went with the direction of Spider-Man.
Yes.
Because you're not a big Batman fan to begin with. Right? Is that correct?
Batman's my least favorite superhero, just because of his. I disagree with his ethos.
Okay. So when it came to figuring out what we were going to review, it was put up in the air, and it was a whole lot of lack of decision making. And finally, you just said, "All right, fine, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends."
Yeah.
Which I'd never seen. Had you seen
no
it?
one had.
Nobody had seen it. And it's older. It's vintage. It had Fred of Scooby-Doo as
sorry,
as Iceman.
Yeah.
And how many episodes did we get through?
9.
We did one more for the holiday crossover.
And boy.
Oh, you did?
Did you miss out?
Yeah, we did Loki's Vengeance, or Vengeance of Loki. It still was not good. Mike liked it, because Mike likes anything not good.
So, needless to say, the series was awful.
Yeah.
And it's a fun trip, I think, to listen to all of our complaints. And, we had our own spidometer.
Yeah.
I
think we're going to keep it.
Constantly changed, because the show itself defined, the lowest grades that we could possibly... we redefined, a 0 rating, because they were so bad. But eventually, we changed it up, right?
I think that's the idea, anyway.
We changed it up. Was it Spider-Man Unlimited? We're
going to do Spider-Man Unlimited through that season. Oh, there's Spidey. Kingpin, sweet. When we're done with Spider-Man Unlimited, because I think it only has a 1-season run.
Yeah.
Then we're going to get with Mike and Summer and see what they want to do. Because they've been doing they've all done just Batman shows, period. See what they want to do and see if you guys want to switch over. But I would like to keep one team Marvel and one team DC if possible. If not, that's not the biggest deal in the world. We just keep on watching, superhero shows for our review segment. Do find a topic of the week and do a WRPL.
So the WRPL is a watch, read, play, listen.
Mm-hmm.
And you asked for a New Year's resolution recently. And obviously I'm the guy that does plays pretty much all the time. I don't read. I don't think I ever really learned. But that's kind of where, like, maybe I could afford the time to read.
That
but
could be why you moved
promise.
on this side of town. You're like, hey, it's a nice house, affordable house, and they don't require a lot of reading.
Books.
No, that's why I made an arcade, so I could just play the games instead of having to read them.
I couldn't punch the smooth criminals until we advanced so far.
So naturally, but in that regard, you're a play also. But your game, more often than you change it up more often than I do. But
right.
you're the dedicated board game. Like I got to play.
I'll always have my own board game challenges. Part of it is buying too much new stuff and not playing some of the old stuff that I've got. So I'm probably with my girlfriend Andrea. We're going to do a 10 by 5, 10 games that we're going to play 5 times this year. That's just reviewing games. And getting back into, is this still a game I need on my shelf, or do I have quite a few games that do the same thing? Because board games take up room, and I've got 230 of them. And some people might think, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is. You see mine? Mine are right over there.
But in the grand scheme of our game group, I don't have a lot. We had Jimmy Ledbetter before he left. I think he was in the thousands. He slimmed down before he moved out of the area, got a job in Florida, so he's got sunnier weather. Don't blame him a bit. It's real nice down where he's at. And then Mike Harris in our group, I think he's at $3 or $4 grand, but he kind of runs a home for neglected games.
Oh.
Yes. Mike's no-kill shelter for unwanted games. Do you have a game that's underloved and not appreciated by people that have similar ideas that you? Give it to Mike. He'll give it a loving home.
He'll play it.
He'll play it. He'll play anything. Ugh.
So what was your end cap setup? So like with the year end 2020 favorites that you made me do a list of, because I wasn't there. I had to record mine in.
My play was Ghost of Tsushima on PS4.
Yeah,
that was an amazing game by Sucker Punch.
Yeah,
and it was kind of called in by me. Oh, I need to go on the thing. There you go. Sorry, I got the thing muted. But amazing game that I talked to a board gamer and I said, "Hey, probably the best thing I've played all year is this board game." He goes, "Oh, then you haven't touched much of the video games." I said, "Well, I'm not ready for The Last of Us." The Last of Us was a heavy game, and I absolutely loved it, but it's such a heavy game emotionally that I was like, I'm not ready for that. That's a game I want to be ready to be invested in, and I'm not ready for that investment. And he said, well, Ghost of Tsushima is probably the best game I've played that wasn't... he loved Cyberpunk, but he had a PS5. He said, if you don't have a PS5 yet, and I will not get a PS5 until next year. well, this year now, but at that point it was that year.
We're beat up a helicopter. It's like Metal Slug up in here.
It is.
Watch this. Oh, how about that?
Yeah, I've got one. Anyway, he said give that a try. Ethan's best play. What was your best play?
Among Us.
Among Us.
I didn't get to play as much this year
as
I normally do.
That's a pretty new kind of phenomenon, Among Us.
Mm-hmm. And an older game. It came out a couple years ago.
You must not be sus.
Oh, I'm sus.
Because I'm sus no matter what I did. Whether I followed people around to watch their back, they thought I was stalking them, or I was avoiding people to not be suspicious, and I was hunting. I had to have been hunting people.
Right.
And I'm like, you guys are assholes.
Yeah.
Monkey Man. But they got that Bigfoot strut.
Oh, yeah. Look at my chest.
Messing with Sasquatch.
I do like the art. They tried to keep to the comics as far as the art style goes, and I think that's pretty...
Sure, but I mean, it's very much the X-Men the arcade game.
It is.
Controls, art style.
I think it was probably, like, yeah, I mean...
Oh.
Here. There we go. Oh, damn.
Yeet.
You just yeeted over the trap and still got trapped.
You're right. Yeah, I'm not good at yeeting.
Neither one of you yeeted very well.
I'm new to Twitch streaming, so I'm still learning, like, lingo and to its activity.
You got to dab. You got to dab.
No, that's not an option.
These are guys like pre-dabbing dabbing.
Right.
That's 91 dabbing. It's impressive.
Green Goblin. We killed Green Goblin.
Yeah, we've killed all of these.
Is this going to be the boss rush?
Well, yeah. I mean,
we're at the Tower of London,
arcade.
it looks like.
In 90s arcade, you got to speed rush all the bosses.
Right.
Because, like, Turtles arcade game, they had the Shogun that had his head fly off, and he was a bastard to fight on his own, but in the boss rush, he was, like, one of the easiest ones, I thought.
I don't know, I play that thing pretty often. In fact, I'll probably do a playthrough of both it and Turtles in Time on Wednesday's stream.
Yeah, Turtles in Time is the better game, but because I had the arcade game on NES,
right,
I have fonder memories of that. I played the hell out of that.
Manhattan Project was the Turtles in Time, because Turtles in Time was an SNES that was ported to arcade. It went the opposite direction. And then I think Manhattan Project was the Sega equivalent.
And I can't remember if it came out right before or right after the multi-tap, but that would have been a perfect game for the multi-tap. Because there weren't a whole lot of games that the SNES multi-tap worked on. Bomberman, that was awesome.
Yeah.
The NBA Jam Tournament Edition worked on it. WWF Raw worked on it, which was okay.
Well, it was wrestling. Wrestling's hard.
Wrestling is hard,
especially
but
on
I played the hell
control
out of
format
Raw,
that came after.
I didn't have the ability to pull reins back on how good I was at the game, my friend. So, hey, play Raw with me. Beat the crap out of it. Let's play something else. Oh, we only played the one match. Yeah, but I'm done.
Was it you?
No.
Oh.
No, I'm far too young to have been friends with him. It'd been creepy.
It's true.
Well,
I'm the baby.
Yeah, punch him. Punches and bunches and a whip.
so when it came to arcade games, like, do you have a lot of experience or a lot of stories or in arcades, or were they actually before your time?
No, I liked going to Tilt at the mall when it was there, but
Yeah.
it definitely, once you get a little older, it lost a lot of its lacquer.
Well, here it was Aladdin's Castle was like the go-to, and
Remember
for me,
it was Tilt? No, I remember it was Aladdin's Castle. My dad knows the names of them before they. So.
and I mean, the only time I ever really got to play any arcade games because assholes that kind of you got punks that rule the place, and then you got rich kids who have bottomless quarters that can actually afford to beat them.
That's why you go home on the Super Nintendo.
Right.
You rent or have Turbo, Street Fighter 2 Turbo. You come back with some skills. You pick a guy and you hold the cabinet for a game or two.
Whoa, he knows combos.
Yeah. Or you come out there Mortal Kombat, which everybody has essentially the same moves except for their specials. Everybody has an uppercut, a kick, and
Right.
Come out there and you do a finisher.
You do a fatality. And
you're like, that guy knows his fatality.
Yeah.
Because I subscribed to GamePro magazine and Nintendo Power. That's how I learned how to draw. So I knew all the moves, but I wasn't cool. I wasn't scrappy enough to fight my way onto the arcades, unless there was like some event where, like I don't know, like a church event where somebody rented out the place for the evening.
Yeah. We couldn't afford the all the magazines, so I It was specifically the games I absolutely wanted. Like, as soon as the new Mortal Kombat Fatalities came out, I bought that mag.
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah.
Dr. Doom.
Or, some of the... after I would beat a SNES game like Donkey Kong Country 2 or one of those, you go back and get the playthrough. So, because in Donkey Kong Country 2, all the DK coins and some of the letters are really hard to find and hard to get to. There's some that are like completely off screen that, unless you were just trying to die in certain sections, you would have never found.
Yeah.
So, every once in a while, I was very prideful that I beat the game on my own, but then, you know, a Super Nintendo cartridge was like $60, $70, $80.
Was it really back then?
Yeah, Donkey Kong Country 2 is like a $70, $80 game.
I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah, so if you got,
I thought they were like 40 or 50.
If you go to the pawn shop, absolutely, you can get them like for 20, 30 sometimes.
Yeah, I was a Genesis kid, and I didn't buy my own game.
I know, and they lost the war.
No.
Yes, they did.
No.
Yeah, what was that latest Sega console that came out that we're all playing?
I play it all the time.
Yeah, what is it?
It was the Dreamcast.
Yeah, that was the last one. They lost the war.
Oh, I thought you meant then.
Yeah.
No, they pulled out.
No, Genesis
They pulled out, like, you know,
Genesis,
some of our friends
Genesis had a very, very unique, like, whatever. I'm still a Genesis kid, but I know.
I remember going to summer break, and I had a regular Nintendo. When I got back, I was asked if I had a Super Nintendo or a Genesis. We didn't have that money. I said, I have Nintendo. I play video games.
Just because Nintendo came first
no.
doesn't mean Sega started
does,
the war.
but Nintendo don't. Like, wait. Is there a fight now?
That's true. No, did you read that on my arcade screen?
No.
Because it says that.
No, that was specifically a fight at elementary school when I got back from spring break.
Yeah, but you can
I had to
guarantee
do
if it's on Sega, it's unedited. It's not watered down baby crap.
Yeah. We end with no Spiderman.
Oh, how about that? Well, he's player 2 anyways. Well, I guess not really.
Venom. But Dr. Doom was the bad guy. Venoms.
You should not have come this far. No kid can afford this game.
Oh, her special's not as cool. She just kind of swings a whip around a little bit.
Right. It's kind of a short AoE.
She whips it good.
Yeah, and she didn't go. She goes whapa.
Whapa. Oh.
See? Yeah, it's not. Kick.
I'm gonna use Spider-Man.
So, as far as the Bana Nana Podcast, where do you guys want it to go? Because I like the format as it is. Now, on the last episode that just dropped last Wednesday is this recording, I put the banter first, and I cut it way down. And I don't know if that's the thing to keep it with.
You did cut it way down.
Well, considering, there'd be 3 hours of talking about an hour-long movie.
Yeah.
Or, 45 minutes talking about food. Which, honestly, there's some good recipes you were talking about. So it's not like... I understand the value of it.
So, I like the WRPL segment because it kind of gives us an onus to actually go do a thing and discuss some things we're enjoying. It actually makes Mike and Summer, when they're working on the house, go, we need to relax and watch a thing or read a thing or even play a thing. So we have something to talk about because we're recording this week.
And the platforms that you post this to,
we're on Libsyn.
Yeah.
We have our Facebook page to post there. We're also on Stitcher.
On Stitcher, okay.
Stitcher Radio. Yeah.
So we just beat the Spider-Man
Sega
arcade game. See, I told you, Sega.
So it sucked.
It did not suck.
Sega makes games for people who have friends. Nintendo makes games for people who don't.
Right, so I'm gonna go play Final Fight.